Hello, welcome back. So, in the last part, we have completed up to the step 9. Now, we will proceed further with the actual practical steps from step 10. So, uh, the next step is to install the WADK component. So, download and install WADK 2004 version on MDT server with following features. So what features we need to install? We need to install ADK, and inside that ADK we need to install two features, sub features, deployment tools and USMT, and then the second feature will be WinPE, that is WinPE components. Now I want to clear one thing over here, why we are installing the 2004 version. Since it is the older version, why we are installing it, why we are not installing the latest version, that reason I will tell you later on when that particular step actually is coming. But as of now I am installing WADK 2004. Okay, so let's go back to our MDT server, and you can see over here I have already downloaded and mapped that ISO WADK 2004 ISO on my MDT server. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm directly going to the Windows Explorer, opening it, and these are the two main components of ADK. So first I'm installing the main ADK setup. Okay, so install Windows Assessment. This same MSI is actually helping you out to download it also if you are having internet access, but that's fine, it's already been downloaded. So install WADK, Windows Assessment and Deployment Kit. Okay, so say next over here. I don't want to send any usage data, so next I will accept the agreement. And here there are a lot of sub features are there, but we required only two sub features, so I'm just deselecting the unwanted ones. So I have deselected everything and I have selected only two subcomponents which are required for MDT. So one is deployment tools and one is user state migration tool, USMT, right? Only these tools are required. So I am finally clicking on install. Okay, say yes over here. So it will install itself. It will take a minute or two. So these two sub features are installed now. I will say close, and just for the reconfirmation purpose or recycle purpose, I will just restart my MDT server once. Okay, so coming back to the PPT, we have completed this step in the WADK. We have installed deployment tools and USMT. So next step is we will be installing WinPE components, and in WinPE there is only one sub feature, that is Windows pre-installation environment. So that we will do. So I have logged in with the MDT admin account, that is our domain account which we have created previously, and now I'm again going to that ISO path, and here is my WinPE add-ons. Okay, now again install the WADK WinPE add-on. Next, usage data no, then accept, and you can see Windows P. Now as I said, why I am installing 2004, because it is still supporting, it was a older WADK version and it is supporting this component WinPE x86. Now you might be wondering what is the connection between WinPE x86 and MDT. So MDT is still actually supporting x86 architecture to deploy the operating systems 32-bit, and if you are installing the latest version of WADK, so this component is missing. It is only supporting your AMD and ARM x64 architecture. So this component was not there for the latest WinPE. And if I am installing latest WinPE or latest WADK, it will give me an error while opening my MDT console later on. So I will show you where that error might come, but as of now I am installing WinPE for 2004 version. Okay, so I will say install. It will again take a minute or two. Once this is installed, then we will proceed with the next step. So this is the primary prerequisite for MDT, because we need to install various operating systems through WinPE booting environments. So WADK, which is supporting the Vim files and other architectures, we required that particular architecture. So now our WinPE component is also installed. I'll close this, and again one more time I will restart my MDT server. It is always advisable to restart your Windows machine if you are making any major changes. Whether it is asking for the restart or not asking, that is irrelevant. That is as per my 24 years of IT experience. So now we have installed our WinPE. Now I have put in a note, as I explained earlier, make sure that Windows PE is having an x86 component only supported till WADK 2004 version. It is showing. Okay, so this one, because if it is not showing, your MDT will give error later on. Where it will give error, I will show you, since we have not installed MDT yet. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So next step is, now we need to install the actual MDT, that is Microsoft Deployment Toolkit, through setup. So download and install latest version of MDT, that is Microsoft Deployment Toolkit, on MDT server system. So you can simply Google it and you will get the download link from MDT, and you can download both the components, x86 or x64. If you want to deploy x86, that is 32-bit operating systems also, that can be also done through Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. But we are actually installing only x64 wizard, because we will be deploying Windows 11 64-bit only. So let's go back to our machine, and I have already downloaded this particular component over here, x64. I will say copy, and I'll go back to my MDT server, paste it, and now it's a simple straightforward 2 minutes installation, nothing more than that. So we'll install the MDT now. Remember, this is x64 installation. That means you can deploy 64-bit operating systems through this MDT setup. Okay, so first screen, next, accept the agreement, next, Microsoft Deployment Toolkit, documents, tools and templates, next. Don't want to join the program, that's fine, next. I'll say install. It will again ask for the confirmation in a minute, because our UAC, user account control, is enabled. So it will ask, we will say yes, and then it will install. Now this is completed. Okay, this is as straightforward as that. Okay, I will say finish, and again I will restart it once. Okay, by the time it is restarting, we will move on to the next step. So next step will be, we need to add a second partition or second hard disk to our MDT server, so that we will have a dedicated MDT share. Okay, so what I'm doing is, first of all I'm logging with the MDT admin account. And now I'm just adding a second hard disk. Drive, add new hard disk, dynamically expanding, and I will give you some specific name over here. And I will store it on a same folder where the MDT servers VMs previous means primary hard disk are stored. Select, next, size will be 100 GB, next, finish. So that's it. So in the latest Hyper-V you can add virtual hard disk while the VM is already on an online state or already running. So now you can see I have added the hard disk, but it is not showing in Windows Explorer. So we need to go to the disk management, and I will just show you the steps also through PPT. So assign a drive letter, that is D drive, for second HDD through MDT servers disk management. Okay, so we'll do that. So first of all you can see that our second hard disk is already added, but it is unallocated, and the D drive is already been taken by our CD-ROM drive. So I will first of all change the drive letter of CD-ROM. I will make it E drive. Okay, say yes, and then make it online, make it initialize, next, okay, and now new simple format, next, 100 GB, next, assign a drive letter. It will automatically take the D drive because it has been released. Next, format this volume with the NTFS. Next, perform a quick format also, and finish, and that's it. Now our D drive should be visible in our Windows Explorer. So now you can see the D drive is visible, that is 100 GB. Okay, and now next step is create a new folder as MDT share on D drive for MDT server. Okay, so I will just create a simple folder over here. MDT share. Now why we are creating this MDT share folder? Because this folder will be used as a common share point or a share folder for MDT to store all applications, all operating systems, everything. Okay, and through this particular shared folder all your operating system deployments will take place. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. Now next step is we need to launch our deployment workbench MMC, that is Microsoft Management Console, through start menu. Now what is this deployment workbench? It's some kind of an MNC which will be used to manage your MDT, that is Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. It is visible once your MDT is installed. So what I'm doing is, you can see over here, deployment workbench. I will first of all pin to taskbar so that we don't have to go to the start again and again, and now I will launch it. So this is our Microsoft Deployment Toolkit deployment workbench. So this console, through this console you can control all your MDT servers, deployments and everything. Okay, now let's move on to the next step. Next is we need to right click the deployment share and we need to create a new deployment share. So you can see in the particular screen over here. So what I will do is I will first of all expand this deployment share. So there is nothing to expand as of now. I'll right click it and say new deployment share. Okay, let's move on to the next step. So we need to use the following settings with new deployment share creation. So what are the settings? Deployment share path will be our D MDT share folder. Okay, so what I will do is I'll come back here, say browse, and I will go to my D drive and MDT share. Okay, this will be our deployment share path. Okay, next is share name. It will automatically take deployment share $. So we will not change anything. If you want to, you can change the name also, that's not a problem, but we will keep the default one. So deployment share $. Okay, and what will be our UNC path? So it will be like MDT / MDT server, then deployment share $. Okay, so by default the share name is deployment share $. I will say next over here. Next is deployment share description, will be MDT deployment share, or you can give any description as per your choice. So this is fine. I will say next. And next is options as shown in sideline figure. So I will just explain these options to you. The first option is ask if a computer backup should be performed. Now it is entirely possible that you are upgrading your existing operating system, or the existing machine will only have its previous operating system. So if you want to perform a computer backup, that should be asked. So we don't have that scenario in this lab setup, so I will remove this. Ask for a product key. When you are installing your operating system, it should ask for the product key. If you having a one, you can provide that one. As of now, I'm deselecting that also. Ask to set a local administrator password. Now this is very important. Let's say even after installing operating system, it is not logging to your domain by any means or by for any error. So your operating system will stuck because you cannot log on to the local admin also if this particular option is deselected. So I will select this. I want that local administrator account to be enabled and password should be entered. Okay, so I'm enabling this. Ask if an image should be captured. So as of now we don't want to capture any existing image, so I will deselect this. And ask if BitLocker should be enabled. As of now we are not using BitLocker also, so I'm deselecting this option also. So deselecting. So as of now I have selected only one option, ask to set a local administrator password. You can select your preferable options according to your company's infrastructure or your requirements. Okay, so these particular options are self-explanatory, so you can do whatever you want to do according to these options. Okay, so as of now I have selected this one and I will say next. So in the summary it will show me this particular all the options what we have selected right from the start. Path will be DMDT share. Upgrade, no, we are not upgrading from any existing operating system. It will be a clean install. Share name will be deployment share $. Description will be MDT deployment share. Ask about backup, no. Ask about product key, no. Ask for admin password, yes. Ask about image capture, no. And ask about BitLocker, no. Okay, so this will be our summary. I will say next, and now it will create our MDT share with whichever options we have selected. Okay, now let's move on to our PPT. So now since our MDT share is created, we need to click the finish to complete the process. So it will show the whatever options you have selected. It has created the share and everything, and finally in the confirmation box I will say finish. It's as simple as that. Now the MDT deployment share has been created, but we need to define some additional sharing permissions for this MDT share. So we will move on to the next step. So configure the share permissions for newly created deployment share as follows. So what are the share permissions? So first of all we need to go to the path, and then we need to go to the properties of that particular sharing tab. So I will go to my MDT server. I will minimize this workbench first. I will go to my D drive, MDT share, right click, properties, and in this sharing. So you can see over here it is already been shared by our that workbench. We have created this deployment share. Now, through this process it is already been shared, but still we want to go further for giving some additional sharing rights. So what we need to do, so next is click on advanced sharing. So we will click on advanced sharing. You can see the share this folder is already enabled, and then description is already there, comments. Okay, so next is verify that the share this folder is enabled. That we have already done. This is already enabled. Next is share name deployment share dollar. This is also we have enabled, or we have already verified it. Next is click permissions. Now here only administrators have given the full control, so we need to add some additional sharing permissions over here. So first add everyone read access. So I will add everyone. Read access. So this is fine. I will say apply. Next is add domain users or your lab user group read. So I'm just typing domain users. Check names. Read. This is fine. Apply. Next is add domain administrators full control. So I will say domain admin, let's say domain admins. Okay, full control. Apply. And one more last is add MDT admin, that is our domain admin account, master account, full control, and add MDT admin. Okay, now I will say apply. Okay, again apply. Okay, close. Now the share permissions have been defined. Okay, let's move on to the next step. Next step is we need to map our Windows 11 OS ISO on MDT server VM, because we need to import that particular operating system in our MDT deployment workbench. So I'm mapping the Windows 11 ISO on our MDT server. So going back here, and one thing to note over here, your ISO should contain the Vim file, not the ESD file, because MDT requires Vim file to get imported. So I'm just mapping it. Okay, let's go back to our PPT for the next step. So through MDT server, deployment workbench, deployment share, operating systems, import operating system. So we'll go back to our deployment share, deployment workbench, MDT deployment share. There is an operating system, and I will right click and say import operating system. Okay. So next is select full set of source files option and click next. So full set of source files, and I will say next. So there is a one note that make sure that your Win 10 Win 11 ISO is having a install.vim file provision and not install.esd. So that I have already told you. Okay, let's move on to the next step. So next step is select the source directory as E drive, Windows 11 OS ISO map drive, and click next. So we have already mapped our ISO. So let's verify. So on the E drive, you can see this ISO is already mapped. So what I will do is just put in a simple E drive over here. Okay, just say okay. Don't put any further folder path or something like that. Simple, only full drive map. Okay, and I will say next over here. Next path is provide appropriate name to destination directory and click next. So now this deployment workbench will create one directory. So what I am doing is destination directory name we need to provide. So I think this is an appropriate name, it has already taken, so I will not change anything. If you want to, you can give any appropriate name, whatever you want to. So currently it is Windows 11 Enterprise x64, so I will say next. Next step is verify summary and click next. So OS type is source, OS destination is Windows 11 Enterprise x64, OS source is E drive, and move OS, we are not moving it, it's false. Next. Now it will start importing our operating system. Okay. So we need to monitor the operating system addition process. So it will take 2-3 minutes. So I'm just pausing this video. Once this is completed, I will come back to you with the next step. And you can see now it is about to complete. Process completed successfully. So we have imported our operating system. Okay. So click finish to complete the OS addition process. So I will say finish. Now we have imported our operating system and it is showing our Vim file entry over here on the right hand side panel. Okay. Now if you are importing any AIO type of ISO, it will show multiple entries, so you can delete or select whichever you want to, and you can keep the appropriate ones. Okay. So next is delete unwanted OS entries if any, and keep only your preferable OS entries. So that we have already done.